So today, I'd like you to pull out your paper if you have it. If you haven't made it yet or you don't have it with you, then you can get it out later or create it later, watch this video again, and or go watch the video previous to this one about how to create this form, because we're going to use it again. But before we get to that point, I want to tell you a little story about a woman named Charlene. And Charlene was 23 years old and she lost her job. And she was kind of tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs. And so she decided that maybe she wanted to go to college. And so, but she also loves her country and wanted to serve her country in the military. Well, she wasn't sure about which one would really be best for her. So she applied to some colleges. And when she was shopping one day at the mall, she stopped in at the Army recruiter, and she talked to them for about an hour. And when she came out of there, she was very excited, but a little, not too sure, because when Charlene was making this decision, the United States was at war with Iraq. And so it was a really big decision to think about going into the military while we're at war. Even though kind of at that time, the president had said the war was over, there was still fighting going on. So she talked to a whole bunch of people, a lot of people that she trusted, immensely, and some people that, she just wanted their opinions. And she got all that information, and she gathered all that information together for a couple of months. And she finally made the decision to join the Army, because she could go to university after she was out, and the military would help her pay for her education. So she thought, okay, I can do that. I can put my 4 years in, get out, and then go to university. So it was very smart thinking on her part after she got all the information that she could gather. So she went off to boot camp, and then she went to extra training. And after she was home on leave, she left. She got orders for Iraq. And so she left for Iraq. So she's in Iraq, and she and her security partner were driving in their vehicle, and they were victims of a roadside bomb. And unfortunately, her friend was killed, and she got shrapnel in her leg so bad that they had to remove her leg. So while she's laying in the Army hospital, she's regretting joining the Army, as I'm sure you can imagine. And she kept saying, I should have done this. I could have done this. I would have done this. And that can happen to all of us. We can shoulda, coulda, woulda ourselves to death when we start thinking back about how we could have made a different decision. But she had gathered all the information that she needed to make the best decision she thought was best for her. And she felt like the Lord was with her and that He was protecting her. And so for regret to set in was very easy for her at that time. And I tell you this story because we have times where we gather as much information as we can about a decision that we need to make. And in this case, for her, it didn't turn out the way she expected it, and that's what happens to us. Our decision doesn't turn out the way that we expect, and so regret sets in. Well, the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to use our paper from last week. And again, if you haven't made it yet, you can go back and look at the video from before and create that. And if you have it with you, we're going to move forward. Now, what I want you to start doing is I want you to start writing down all the information that you can regarding the decisions that you were trying to make. Now, if you scroll up on your screen, if you can, you'll see Charlene's chart, okay? I actually had put that in there ahead of time so that you could see it. And I don't know if you can see this from this far away, but Charlene was going to go to college or she was going to go to the Army. So she started writing all the information down. She wrote she wanted a career. It was going to be fun. This is under college. It was going to be fun. She'd find her way to pay for college. She'd have to work while attending school. no medical benefits, it would increase her knowledge. See, these are pros and cons of this decision to try to go to college. Won't get stuck going to war. That was one of her thoughts. Get better job after 4 years. Can visit her family and friends more and live on her own. Well, in the Army, she gets free lodging, free food, and fun, and she serves the country she loves. I'm reading this upside down, so please forgive me. Get a great job now, make long-lasting relationships, which is actually on the other side too. And as you're writing the reasons that you were going to make this decision, the pros and the cons, you might see that some are equal on both sides. And that's normal. That's absolutely normal. She said college would be fun and the Army would be fun, and she wasn't wrong. Both would be fun. And so as you're writing down your information, leave out the woulda, coulda, shoulda. In other words, I should have chosen this. I could have chosen this. I would have chosen this. Because that's where your regret really sets in. And the most important part is going back to the day, if you can, the day you made the decision, so that you can look at the information you were trying to gather before that. And it helps you to work through that information and understand why you made the decision that you made. But you can only work on information up to that point, the point that you made the decision. After that, if you get new or different information after you've made the decision, that can't influence that decision. That's where regret comes, because you've got new information or your thinking is more clear. I think I talked about that a couple weeks ago. And being older now, it can't play into that decision. I'm 50 years old, and I've made a lot of decisions, good and bad, in my entire life. And so I can't go back to those decisions with a 50-year-old mind and say, oh, that was really dumb. I should have done this. See, shoulda. That can't work that way. You can't think about yourself being more mature with this information and then go, well, I would have chosen the other one had I known, ... That happens a lot. So gather your information and don't make the mistake of adding information that you've learned later, like I said. And if you look forward, that causes added guilt, shame, and pain. So try really hard to stay focused on that date, your age, your maturity level. Okay, so, pray a lot. This is so important. To gather this information, you really need to try to remember as much of that information as you can so you can look at it. That's one of the great things about this kind of a chart, is that you can actually look at the reasons you chose this or this. Or like I said a couple weeks ago, you may have a third leg or a fourth leg, and you need to write all the information down for each one, for that one decision. Okay, so pray a lot. Psalm 33:15 says that the Holy Spirit created your heart so he understands who you are. Isn't that great? He understands everything about you, so he's going to show you everything you need to see to help you break free from regret. Now, the thing about it is just do your best. Okay, do your best. There's going to be a lot of stuff that you might not remember if it's an old regret. If it's a new regret, you may remember everything. And you may not want to remember everything. But this is a journey toward freeing yourself up from regret. So sometimes journeys are painful. So take your time. Be kind to yourself. take breaks when you're working on this. Take some breaks, take a week, whatever, but take some breaks and do this over time if necessary. So Charlene's example, like I said, sometimes you're going to see pros and cons that are the same on both sides. And that's important to remember as well. So I don't know how you feel about gathering all this information. It can be hard. It can be very difficult to look at. But when we remember what helped us to choose, and sometimes we choose because of someone else, or we feel pressure from our family or friends, and we feel we have no choice, or we're in a situation where we don't feel we have any choice. And that can be your place too. And I understand that. I've been in that place too. And so next week, we're going to talk about forgiveness. Now, I know we just did a whole series on forgiveness, but this is regarding regret, because you need to forgive yourself for the decision that you made if you can't come to a point where you accept your decision. That's what's great about looking at that chart once you get it all written down, is you can see it and you can go, okay, I made the best decision for myself at the time. And then you can break free from regret. Again, if you need more help than that, we're going to talk about forgiveness next week. So you can forgive yourself, you can forgive others, you can forgive God. Sometimes you need to do that too. So I want you to know how much I love you, and I want you free from regret, like I am. I'm totally free from regret. And you can use this later on to keep yourself from getting into regret. It's really a great way to clear yourself of regret. I want you to go forth and regret no more. Be blessed and be a blessing.